yet, here to blow out your eardrums twice a week, it's me, Sneaky Devil, on the Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9001. If you haven't figured it out yet, you should probably always turn that volume down a little bit when we start.
And someone already had their eardrums. Oh my god, Gil. How have you not learned by now?
Alright, so, well, we have a semi-plan in the works today, lads. He might show up, he might not show up, and if he doesn't show up, you won't know that he didn't show up. Except for the part where I told you he was going to show up. So ignore that part. Point being, Max had me get drunk before the stream started.
I did not. Fuck off. I contacted you 10 minutes before to make sure you didn't need a sound test. Don't pin this shit on me.
And the Twitch guidelines and YouTube guidelines do require me to say, do not contact any of the people featured in this podcast. All opinions expressed in this podcast are solely made for educational or entertainment value and should not be represented as the personal opinions of anyone here on this podcast, though they usually tend to be. Now!
Usually, yes. Let me know if I go, Cthulhu again.
Oh, I'll let you know if you go Cthulhu again. So now, this is a story called Vapors. This is a Naruto story. And it's got a lot of people who love it. I am going to explain to you all why that's wrong. You're planning ahead by getting drunk beforehand this time? Progress.
Honestly, don't encourage this, please.
It's progress, lads.
It's not progress.
We're
Stop lying to yourself. You are the furthest thing from progressive, you motherfucker. Oh, you lying fuck. Oh.
Okay. Vapors. This ninja business, it isn't for the faint of heart. Luckily, the self-insert OC is far from faint. Even if she did get stuck with a girly name. Self-insert OC, whatever you want to call it, rating is for language. Now, this is a adventure humor story. Keep that in mind, lads. So, whenever we encounter a humor story on this podcast, it is invariably not funny in the slightest. So, keep that in mind for when we go forward. This is an adventure humor story featuring Kakashi and the self-insert OC. It's got 100 chapters, 670,000 words, 4,000 favorites. Now, this was made back in 2013 to 2014, and I will give them kudos on the sheer word output they did in a single year, but it's a self-insert OC, so...
Oh, boy. I appreciate authors that are honest, at least, about it being a self-insert OC. It allows me to lower my standards accordingly.
I'm also one of the people who liked this story. Well, we'll see if your tastes continue to be your tastes. The humor stories are indeed funny on this podcast, just not usually for the reasons the author intends. That is fair enough. Kushina! Huh?
Nothing, I was just mumbling. Oh no, we're already starting with a...
Kushina had heard that giving birth was noisy, messy, and a painful affair. No, but reading this story certainly is. So far, the pain wasn't much worse than what she encountered in her day job. She was relatively clean, and the noise was coming from the father-to-be's alternatively terrified and thrilled chatter to the long-suffering midwife doing arcane things under the sheet covering Kushina's knees. She heard the muffled phrase, Hokage-sama, I have done this before, for the third time and tried not to laugh. It would hurt too much, she suspected. Poor Sarutobi Biwako didn't seem to know if she wanted to be amused or kick Minato out of the delivery room. Patient woman, all but a saint, really. Kushina gritted her teeth and tried not to react at the faces Minato was making, giving her Genin teammate Mikoto a surreptitious hand sign. I'm probably pronouncing that word incorrectly, but the author is in fact using it correctly.
Surreptitious. That's the word you're looking for, I believe.
Also, this is Max.
Are they bullying me in chat again?
Yes. The Uchiha grinned, her reserved nature overcome by her good mood. Kushina's smile became a little wider, until an especially vigorous contraction made her flinch. I'm so glad the author is vigorously describing the birthing process.
Why?
Her husband's eyes jumped to her face like she was an Iwanin with a big stick, looking just about as worried. Kushina! Minato fluttered his hands in a girlish way he swore he didn't do, but literally hovering at the slightest sign of discomfort.
I'm sorry, I am enjoying the characterization of Kushina and Minato, if nothing else.
Yeah, I will give it to the author. Their characterization is
Pretty on point,
not
actually.
flat.
Yeah.
And mildly competent. So we'll see how far this self-insert OC takes us.
We'll give them points at least for the characterization of two of the most important characters in the history. Like, good on them at least for that much.
I'm fine, she stressed, working to keep the signs of tiredness and effort off her face. Honestly, Tita Bane, you'd think you were the one doing the work.
Don't say it like that, you fucking cunt.
Tita Bane. You'd think you were the one doing all the work here. Why don't you calm down, huh? Mikoto snorted, and then ventured a guilty look at the Sandime Hokage's wife, who was technically the senior physician present. The old woman didn't pay her any attention. But her assistant, Taji-san, leveled the Uchiha lady with an expression of amused tolerance that did nothing to make Mikoto feel less like a child. Hokage-sama, Biwako-san said sternly. Why is that suddenly being added into the narrative? Pulling her head up enough to give him a dark-eyed stare. Her tone implied that she was actually talking to an excitable child and not her military leader. Calm yourself. Please, focus your attention on the seal. Your wife is doing her work admirably, and you must do yours. He probably wasn't meant to hear the muttered, I always forget how weak and frightened men are until I see one panic while his wife does all the hard work. Now, to be fair, I slept through a birth. Not mine, and not my wife. I don't have either of those, so don't worry. I was there for a birth, though, and I slept completely through it. Wasn't panicked at all. Moving on. Mikoto carefully pressed her lips into a thin line, forcing down visible amusement. I've been through a birth, depending on how you count them. Honestly. Mikoto wouldn't have even been present had it not been for the fact that this birth was strenuous for so many reasons. Childbirth was enough of an ordeal on its own, when the mother was a Jinchuriki and having twins. And there we go, lads! There we go!
Oh, found our self-insert, did we?
We found the self-insert. It's a self-insert OC twin of Naruto.
Yeah, Mothball has just entered the server, it looks like.
Oh, Mothball on the server.
Moving him from the gatekeeper. You about to go out? Alright, see you later, be safe.
Where is he?
He's Matt Woe, Mothballs and rank and file. Do I need to put him under writers as well?
Probably, considering the fact that he's written a story larger than all of ours combined.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, indeed. And so Mothball actually showed up.
Oh, he showed up to the server.
Now, Sneaky, that doesn't mean the story's bad necessarily. Hold on. No. When the author chooses to make it a twin of the main character, I don't care how good you write the story, I immediately dislike it and probably won't read this. Like,
What the hell is taking up CPU space?
it is the most... It is not the most, but it is one of the most cliched, tropey, bad writing templates that just infuriate me.
Oh, I'm dragging people in.
Alright, okay.
Kill them in mothballs.
Alright, well, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well. That works.
Yes, that does work. Alright, so, thank God we're being saved from this fic, and we're gonna talk about Mothball stuff now, which is also Naruto stuff.
Yeah, because there's not much else to make in the world of fanfiction, obviously, because Naruto is end-all be-all. Mary Sue character, you know?
He kind of is.
I wish he
Why-
was wrong.
I wish I was.
Why go through the trouble of creating a whole character yourself when you could just take Naruto?
I wish you were wrong. God, I wish you were wrong.
You cannot deny it.
Also, Zeke says he's just trying to remember anything about the story we just read, and he actually can't.
Which is fair. You know, I can't blame you. That's fine.
Oh,
What
God.
story were you just reading?
Oh, so we were just on a story called Vapors, which is a self-insert OC who is the twin of Naruto.
That sounds like cancer.
It is.
One more time. Run that by me. Wait, one more time? I'm sorry?
It's a self-insert OC that is the twin of Naruto.
Alright, yeah, okay.
Is his name Bakuto? That's all I need to know.
No, her name's Akira.
Damn it.
Is that the name? Is that
Yes.
actually mentioned in the summary? That I just.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I ignored your summary.
Yeah, no, it's
No, it's
there in
Aiko, not
summary.
Akira. God.
Whatever,
Sticky.
I don't fucking care. It's a self-insert OC with a vaguely Japanese name.
Well,
Look, just
one of the
because
very-
their standards are low doesn't mean yours have to be, and that's coming from me of all people.
Anyway, so we got Mothball here, who can
Hi.
basically be credited with being the cancer of the Ruby Naruto section.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
He
Am I
does it so
missing-
that we don't have to. But we still
Am I missing a story here? Because I never got a clear answer on who exactly Mothball
Okay,
is.
so Mothball here is the end-all be-all beginning of the crossover section for Naruto and Ruby, basically.
Honestly, I'm flattered that you would say I'm the end all be all.
Okay,
honestly,
look.
I think
So many people have copied you at this point.
fair. Fair.
What?
I honestly don't even, which is funny because at this point, I don't even look into the section anymore. I don't know who's writing on there. I have no idea who's copying me or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure like the team name and all these things I guess I'm credited with are everywhere in that section now.
Yes.
So I've been told.
Yes, they are excessively everywhere. It is actually quite painful how everywhere they are.
I'm sorry.
You actually made the Naruto. And
You are actually number one on the by sorting by favorites. You are number one in the Naruto and Ruby crossover section.
I've been told that before, and that's to be
And
completely
gue-
honest. And
Guess what the
not write
number
it
2
off.
story is?
Don't tell me, please. Don't.
It's an inspired by your story.
Wait, really?
Yes, Shattered World. It's an inspired by your story.
Oh, you know what? I do
Huh.
remember being told of that one.
Wait, so did the person actually go like, "Oh yes, I'm writing this to pay homage to the great one"?
No, no, he didn't,
No.
obviously, but it is such a rip-off of his story that, yeah.
Hey, people want views, man. People want the numbers.
Of
people
course, number 3 in this section is Fairy Tail Dragon Slayer.
Let's can we not? Nobody say his name 2 more times, or he's gonna pop up somewhere.
Oh.
want-
Alright, so, I'll pop it quick over so everyone can see it real quick.
You were there when me, Reese, and other assorted people fucked with him back on the old server.
Oh yeah. I was in the midst of that. I didn't fan the flames or anything like that, but I definitely like was at the
I think it was
beginning
you,
of.
me, Reese, and Mara.
Oh
If
no.
I-
Sorry, Sneaky. I'm sorry to tell you, Isley is apparently shipping you and
Yeah, apparently I'm
FTSD,
being shipped
that's-
with Fairy Tail now.
Oh yeah,
Such is the life.
That's made in heaven.
But anyway, so yeah, everyone can see now. This is sorted by favorites. We got Mothball right up here, and his wannabe Mothball right below him.
This makes you like, why the fuck was it on my fave list?
By 1,000 less favorites. So just to give you guys the stats, in case you're not paying attention to the screen, it is 4,765 favorites and 5,192 follows right now.
Wow. I actually haven't even checked it in a minute, so damn. All right.
Oh.
You reach a level where you don't even need to check it.
Zach,
I-
if you're trying to link a fanfic, you know that there is a section on the server for that, right?
Yes,
Like-
there is.
You consistently keep trying to link fanfics in the chat. It's bothering me now. I'm worried.
Anyway, so I like to bring authors in. I've done this 3-4 times now. I like to bring authors in, and I like to try and talk to them about their fandoms and where they got the general idea for their story and what they sort of learned from writing it all. So let's start on your fandom because you got a big one.
I mean, I guess are we talking just the crossover section of it, or are we talking like individual Naruto Ruby, like
Well,
separate?
What would you say is the first time you started getting really big in the either Naruto or Ruby or crossover section? Was it Malcolm's Shinobi or?
It was before. I wouldn't say I cringe to admit this, but yeah, once upon a time I did have a Naruto high school DxD story that was every bit as cringe and as bad as you may think it is.
The Auspice?
Before that, actually, the Auspice is my second go at that genre.
Devils, Angels, and Dragons
Yeah,
and
let's-
Naruto. Oh my!
Yeah,
I see.
let's not talk about that one.
I don't know. I think we should talk about this one.
To put it lightly, again, it's every bit as cringe and every bit as saturated in BS and nonsense as you can possibly think that crossover genre is.
What is the...
So,
Sorry, I'm staring at the story page, the story art for this. What the fuck is that? Did you get that commissioned?
I did actually. I have a friend who's an artist, actually a girl I'm dating, funny enough. So she does art occasionally for me.
Oh, well, congrats. It's always good to have someone like that on call somewhere.
No, yeah, very much so. And I mean, just the relationship aspect is, just icing on the side.
That's a weird part to be the icing on the side, but all right.
I'm kidding. No, I love her a lot and everything. She's amazing to me.
There you go.
She puts up with me.
There
She
you
puts up
go.
with me and my ramblings and my weirdness with fan fiction and everything like that. So kudos to her.
Oh, Jesus,
Yeah,
you gotta
I
keep it
will
in.
say that is not this. No matter how successful you are on fan fiction, that is not a good pickup line. Hey, baby, do
No.
you know how many favorites I have on
No.
fan fiction?
Dragon Slayer might actually use that.
I mean,
He
yeah,
did.
he might.
Male model. So never forget.
Oh
Indeed.
man.
So
Sneaky.
One of us is required to use that as a pickup line at some point now.
well, that's
Well,
gonna be you
well-
because I'm never gonna be in the bar.
What makes you think? You know what? No, I'll probably be picking someone up at a bar.
I mean, yeah.
So Zex here has a program that he uses to find fics to read, and he was wondering how a fic got onto his favorites list that he can't remember. He listed it on his program under the boring tag. That's what he wanted to share with us.
Ah.
Oh, how did that end up on the favorites? Jeez.
Why are you
Is it
asking
really-
that one question you asked me about the people?
What?
The people that make up his fandom.
Yeah, the people that make up your fandom. I heard
well.
you made some controversial changes at the end of the final chapter for your fic.
Controversial in that, like, I'm probably one of the only authors that's probably gotten this far into the Ruby canon. So I don't know how controversial, but yeah. There's plans, I guess, in place, obviously, to diverge and everything like that. So yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh while you were talking, but you're. I switched it to the last chapter for the Maelstrom Shinobi for the reviews, and it's this guy at chapter 38, 270k words into your story. This is an entertaining story, but not good enough for me to follow.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did someone say?
At 270k words into reading Mothball's story, the guy goes, "This isn't a good enough story to follow." It's like, dude,
Oh.
you just read 3 fucking
God.
books of his work.
That's not good enough, apparently, though.
Yeah,
Must-
I'll
welcome.
take it.
Welcome,
I-
Matt.
Here's the thing I've learned is that, like, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, and you gotta just sit here and just be like,
Oh,
Whatever.
no, dude, we had a chapter, I don't know if Cruel told you about this or not. We had a chapter in the Naruto Ruby story we're writing, in which we got 40-something reviews about people ranting about traps and lesbians and cucking Naruto, when none of that was in our story.
it's yeah, the tangents that people go off on in reviews and things like that. I don't know. There's no words for where, like, I don't understand where they get some of these points and where it's like, where did you read this in my story? Where did this comment come from?
Yeah, there has been certainly points in time where I've had that same reaction. Now, you started pretty early in this section. Did you get a good reception at the start? Did you keep a good reception, or?
I mean, I'd like to think so, but I mean, amidst, I guess,
Did
the
you just stop
controversy
paying
and whatever.
attention?
I really did, yeah. To be honest with you, I really did, and I still read reviews, I still read PMs, and I still read all that stuff and everything. But again, I take it all with a grain of salt, and I kind of just, I have to filter down, like you pointed out with that last review where that dude was just like, yeah, it's a good story, but I'm not gonna favorite it. I legitimately went through his reviews, read them, and then it came down to me being able to say, oh, okay, so he's just like, nah, not my cup of tea, deuces. Like that's pretty much what his review amounted to.
Yeah, he's complaining that you used Chan when Naruto was talking to Pira.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
very
again,
specific-
So back to your question, yeah, it started off pretty good, all things considered, and eventually RMS did eventually kind of has become my sort of magnum opus on fan fiction, for better or for worse.
I would definitely
Um,
say for worse, but that's just me.
Listen, Mo, it's not too late. You can do the thing I did and delete your story. Completely
No.
back.
So here's the thing about that. I honestly, for as cringy as that DXD story was and everything like that, I still look at it as a kind of cautionary tale of
Yeah,
don't do that again.
Yeah.
I get that. Now,
So-
there has been a little bit of a shipping war in our own story. Have you had a lot of problems with that? Have you had a lot of people PMing you about
Oh, yeah.
Boy, Max,
their
I wish
shipping?
you and I were popular enough to have these fucking problems.
You write yourself in story.
Maybe you should write a good story then.
Oh, fuck you! Like you have any reason to talk. You make the Indian do all the work. You outsource it. If Cruel says it, I'll take that. I won't take that from you, you lazy sack of shit.
Listen, honestly speaking, that story is like 70% written by him. I just write the fight scenes.
Wait, Sneaky's handling the bulk of the. I don't believe you.
Yes, he is.
You're
I,
lying.
No, listen.
I haven't get him
How
started.
much is he paying you?
Listen, I pay you guys. I am actually subbing here. He doesn't pay me shit. All I have to
He's
do
got a
is
point. He does
make
pay
him,
us.
all I have to do is get his attention and make it depressing, and he writes.
I'm sorry. Did you say get his attention and make him depressed?
Kind of.
So the secret is just take his already cripplingly low self-esteem and self-worth and just dumpster it, and you'll get a story written. Got it.
I mean, how do you think torture
What the fuck are some of these reviews? Congratulations on joining the list of stories made by sad, desperate fans in a desperate move to make Ruby relevant again, because quite frankly, it's a terrible anime.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Nobody's ever gonna deny
No
that.
one is ever going to contest
Like-
that. It's bad.
It's just people don't care that it's bad. They care that it's got potential.
Truly,
But a lot of-
not anymore.
congratulations!
Let's
Okay, it had potential.
It had.
Let's-
Why do you think people kept watching Gundam? It sure as shit wasn't for Amuro's voice acting.
Whoa, hang on. That's being mean. The dubs are both languages
Max.
are solid.
Is this
Nah.
dog?
I've listened to both. They're far better than they have
Fuck
any right
your
to be from late
Gundams.
70s, 80s.
I'm not saying they're not good for their time. I'm just saying there's some problems there. Okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
I personally, I'm not going to disagree.
No, we've actually had a marathon of all the
Wait,
first
Up to-
three.
yeah, the first we tried doing.
We tried doing 4. We fell asleep.
Because Volume 4 is so boring, and that's
Yeah.
saying something compared to
Yeah,
Volume
no.
1 and 2.
It
Oh,
really,
jeez.
Volume 1, I think you can honestly get by watching the first, like, maybe up until that big fight at, like, the end of their exam. As soon as you watch that, you can just not watch anything until the last episode of Volume 1, and you're good.
I
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
I still write Ruby Fix.
Well, I was gonna say, and don't forget, then in like
oh.
season 2, you can just wait for them to kill millions of civilians by fucking up a highway.
Yeah, no, yeah, the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Actually, now that I think about
You
it,
need to finish that fucking chapter, Max.
with yes, we do, but with enough editing, I could make season 1 a lot more interesting and cut down. Like,
Max,
Like,
a
do that.
monkey with a monkey with a timeline could make season 1 more interesting and cut down.
I think the sad thing is, at least in regards to Ruby, is that like you get the 4 trailers, and despite like the shitty like CGI or whatever the shitty
blatant
animation
ripping
of it,
off of Skyrim models.
yeah, the idea behind it and like the actual effort Monty put into them definitely freaking shows. And there's something that you can kind of sit there and be like, okay, yeah, this might actually be a good thing.
oh yeah,
And then
Well, I mean, shit. I remember when the Red trailer first came out.
I mean, like, look.
Oh, everybody
Yeah.
was hype as fuck. It
Everyone
so
was
cool.
really excited for Ruby, specifically because the people who knew Monty Ohm knew he could do good fight scenes. That's
Oh, yeah.
primarily what they wanted to watch Ruby for.
yeah, and then
Yep.
that's why they kind of have plummeted, because you lose Monty and now there's no fight scenes and everybody just talks for like 10-15 minutes.
So that does bring me to a important topic. What is your opinion on Ruby Season 5, if you did watch it?
Poo poo. Doo doo.
Yeah?
Bad.
Yeah. You know, personally, by the way, on the Ruby thing, I was looking forward to it because I was like, oh, this is going to be great AMV material. And then we
No.
lost Monty, and it stopped
No.
being good AMV material.
Yeah,
About,
no.
like,
Yeah,
quarter of the fights are
I have
usable.
to say I do not agree with them hyping up the big fight between Cinda and Raven, and then
And
they
then
go
blue
full
balling
fucking bleach, and they just do teleportation attacks, and then for some reason in an underground chamber, rocks start falling.
Yeah.
Shall I bring nose hair into this, by the way?
No, we have too many people in here.
Let him
Okay,
just
I was
sit
about to
there
say,
and
like,
spin.
do we make this a party, or should
No,
I just...
This is not a party
Okay.
anymore.
Just making sure.
Okay, so in your opinion, of all of the fandoms you've written for, which was the easiest and which was the hardest?
The easiest was obviously Ruby, just because there's not much there in the first place, so there's not too many people who are gonna sit there and tell you like, no, that's not in canon or whatever. The hardest is always and probably forever shall be Naruto, just because of the people who will sit there and tell you that never happened in the show. That's not right. That's not this, that, and the other, and yeah. So
We actually had several reviews.
Have you ever had a review where a guy just goes like, why is Naruto's chakra yellow?
Yeah, I was about to say,
no.
we had three reviews going, oh my god, you should know Naruto's chakra is yellow by this point. Which is
Yeah, no.
like, what?
Mentioned,
you
like,
can
twice,
scroll
like,
through my reviews.
in the manga.
Oh, I am.
Scroll through the reviews and of the story and everything, and you'll probably find some really just like I don't even know what to call them, where they just miss the point entirely, and it's like, are you even reading the story, sir?
Yeah. Apparently your story has been blessed by a Fairy Tale Dragon Slayer review.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing that
Is
was
this worth listening to, Sneaky?
No. I've read the review before. Back when I did pick up Mothball's fic, way back in the day when I was just starting in the Naruto Ruby section, I saw that was like back at chapter 10, I think.
yeah.
Oh wow.
He left a review. He left like 3 reviews, each getting increasingly threatening.
Which is funny
He
because
was head of the crossover section for Naruto Ruby before you came by.
Yeah, he thinks for some reason he's like the arbiter and justicar of the Naruto crossover section. So
it's
like,
just
I mean, here's the thing, right? I would consider him the arbiter of trash.
You're
I'll fucking
You're not
say it
wrong.
live.
You're not wrong.
yeah.
So, I guess the funny thing is with the that whole review thing is, as Cool Ruin said before, that that was pretty much the starting point of the whole shitfest that went down with the other Discord server that we had, where we just had a slew of people just like hop on him and just not really bag on him, but really just like,
Made we properly bagged on him. There was like 7 people PMing him at the end of the day. It was beautiful. And then
Yeah,
remember
but
when-
to be fair, he does bring it on himself, and that he does kind of initiate these things, and then he's like shocked when people go, "Yeah, we're not gonna put up with your bullshit."
yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think he's the kind of kid who never learned the fucking lesson of talk shit, get hit.
Yeah.
No, he's a male
Yeah.
model. He did that. The girls will go begging.
That's great. The girls can beg for his broken fucking nose.
Also, I would like to laugh a little bit here. You got some reviews saying you shouldn't deride your readers. I'm just sitting here like, why not?
Oh yeah, I've gotten that a lot. Yeah.
What's
That's part of fanfiction.
Then my readers shouldn't be stupid.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. maybe.
Here's the thing about that. If you don't have the, just to put it really like, I guess, rude intelligence to just sit there and read the story and go, oh, okay, this makes sense, or oh, okay, I get this, or whatever, and you just go off on a tangent of his hair, you got his hair color wrong, or his eye color wrong, or that's not how this works, or whatever, then I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I don't need you as a reader.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. I mean, as much as you always want your stories to be read as by many people as possible, there is a certain limit where you're just like, please, just shut the fuck up.
It really, yeah.
Who you draw them not read. Like a certain person whose name begins with an F and ends with a R.
Well, I mean, Atin and Max here have written their own self-insert Ruby story. And they've attracted a certain interesting crowd of theirs that are
Oh, yeah, boy, we've got some fucking masochists.
really no, they're
What
sadists.
do you mean
They're
sadist?
really interested in seeing Ruby tortured, and it's
Just the team for some reason.
What?
So I got a question actually regarding that.
yeah.
It's a thing I've noticed of increasing like popularity of having stories on fan fiction that involve rape, like sexual, like just straight up
hold on,
rape.
let's clear this up. Ours has none of that.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fair.
I wanted to clear that up.
No, yeah, that's I get that, but that's why I'm like, I think it might just be a reviewer thing or the people on the fan. I don't know. I just have genuine questions of why is this becoming a trend in so many stories?
Well, here's the sad thing. Sneaky, you should remember this years back. This same trend popped up 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I do
Like,
remember the
this
Great
is
Purge.
this is a trend that occurs every few years in a wave, and it's very uncomfortable, and it tends to go towards what's new and hot.
Yeah, and then,
About a year or two into its life cycle, you start getting the disturbing weirdos.
and then
with-
fan fiction goes,
Yeah.
okay, guys, we're getting a lot of child pornography reports from the FBI, so it's time to purge this bitch, and they'll just
Yeah.
fucking delete hundreds of thousands of stories.
Yeah, in mass deletion, like clear the servers, burn the ones they touched. Like,
Find the authors, break down their houses, kick them in the nuts.
I will say though, I am mildly impressed by Fairy Tail Dragon Slayer because he actually has a story that says the admins removed this story, but I'm putting it back up as the summary.
We had an entire 10-minute thing where we're like, how the fuck is he allowed to do what?
Yeah, but no, unfortunately, I do. Did Cruel tell you anything about what we normally do on this podcast?
Not really, other than the fact that I was gonna be, I guess, brought in for a sort of interview of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very light quotations on that interview part.
Fair.
So basically, this whole podcast was started with the idea of mocking the shit out of bad fan fiction, and
Get behind that.
yeah, because I just got sick and tired of seeing so much dumb shit that I'm like, my fucking 3-year-old little brother could write better stuff than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's-
so I have to, well, mostly me basically. I have to filter out when we go to find the big chunks of fan fiction we're gonna read next. I have to filter out a lot of shit, and there has been, yes, I have to agree with you. There's been an increasing trend of child rape, child pornography, just rape in general, motherfucking, quite literally. It's getting a bit unnerving, especially because it's taking place in like the Harry Potter section and shit.
Yeah, I've seen that too, actually. Yeah.
Sneaky, listen. This is like as I think was it you who said it, Max? The thing that this is a cycle, or was it Atin?
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Yeah,
Max
that
said
That was
that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing
It's
about that is basically people have been beaten in the same thing before, and now because of, well, of course it's not a politics thing, so let's not actually discuss this further. I'm just
Yeah.
out there. Because of the general trend of things becoming more okay, right?
Right. Yeah.
And people actually going as far as to say that pedosexuality is a legitimate thing.
Excuse me, they are MAPs, minority attracted persons.
I don't give a fuck what they are.
Basically, people are trying to normalize this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And the last time they were beaten because people had the sense to look at this and be like, wait, this is just fucking child porn, you fucking degenerate.
Yeah.
Now
Yep.
that barrier is kind of going away, and that fucking scares me.
Yeah, 323 anal tears is definitely what scares me.
Yeah.
Oh
It's-
God.
Why do you always hop to that one?
Look, man, I will forever hop to that one because, sweet God, you don't even have that much intestine to tear.
Yeah, and you know what the worst part is? Every time you bring it up, I just have a flashback to that night of trying to fucking level a mountain in Minecraft. That's how much that story actually fucking scarred me.
Okay, I don't know the story. I don't think I.
was
If you
before
go
your
back
time.
into our archives, it was like, what was it, like 30-something Sneaky?
Yeah, it was around the 30 to
Way.
50 mark.
Way back, yeah, in the early start. Oh, God.
I'll ask you later about it. Let's not talk about this.
Actually, a year ago now. It was around June.
You've been doing this garbage for a year now.
We've been doing this for a year and a half now.
Fuck.
Jesus.
How do you live
Yeah.
with this?
Actually,
We've
it
covered
was
over
real
500 fics. There is now officially approximately over 600 hours of this podcast in existence now.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Calvin's here. Hi, Calvin.
Hello,
Oh,
Calvin.
hey, Calvin.
You made it.
But anyway, so out of fan reception, so we asked Cruel, and he said his D times D fans were the thirstiest. Have you noticed a similar trend?
One more time. Sorry. One more time.
The
What-
fans for your stories. What was the weirdest section of responses you've gotten? Cruel said it was his D times D stories that got the weirdest responses.
Weirdest responses. Definitely still gotta take the cake with DXD.
Mhm.
Still, definitely.
So
There's just
yeah.
I get the amount of fan service, obviously, that goes into the actual anime and even the manga and everything, which is fine. I have honestly legitimately no problem with like fan service or anything like that. But yeah, for the 2/3 fics that I've written for that whole crossover, there's some people with issues they probably got to work out.
Ah, yes. That seems to be a common trend.
Yeah, so just
Now for the actually educational questions. What
Fair.
was something you learned in your long adventure of writing your various stories?
Jesus. How to be honestly, legitimately being completely honest. How to be a better writer. Those few people who like, because if you trudge back to the beginning of RMS or even further back to like my first story, again, lots of cringe, lots of badness, and then with RMS, obviously a lot of that got cleaned up and everything, and not as cringe and not as bad, but still pretty bad. I like to think that these recent chapters have been a little bit more put together, and there's a little bit more of a flow and a stronger sense of who I am as a writer.
Right.
So
Was it
Definitely-
anything
definitely
like time-based? Was it just the amount of time you've spent writing that just made you realize certain things, or was it a specific person pointing something out to you, or did you just look back at your older work and were like, "Holy shit, what the fuck"?
a lot of people, there was a moment I had a co-author at one point, and he kind of helped with that. And then RMS was written almost entirely by myself and even edited by myself. But a lot of the early reviews were actually pretty helpful, and a lot of the early reviews were genuine critiques of, hey, the dialogue looks a little odd here, or you could work on this, or hey, the sentence flow here is a little odd, so hey, work on this.
Right. Now, if there was one thing you could have gone back without any effort expended on your part, just say you had a time machine and you were able to slap yourself in the face in the past and be like, "Don't do X" for your Maelstrom Shinobi story, what would it be?
I'd probably say don't spend so much time with all the extra stuff. because I know I spent a lot of the reason this whole freaking story honestly is like 30 chapters is just because of my slight ADDness in that, hey, this is a cool idea, let me go explore this, or hey, this is a cool thing to do, let me just talk about this for like fucking 5 chapters and not progress anything and not have anything actually happen. Because I fair to admit, you can probably take out maybe like 10 to 15 chapters of this story and be like, yeah, you probably don't need all of this.
I have to say that's kind of a common thing most writers on fanfiction go through. Because if you look at, like, let's say Reese's own story, which is thankfully deleted, or my old stories, or let's say even Rain's old stories, you'll see the same thing. This trend from going from fluff into more crunch.
Right.
Slowly realize that, oh yeah, those side things we could kind of just either, explain as we move on, or just let go. You don't have to dwell on like a side character for 5 chapters unless it's actually important to the plot.
Right.
Stuff like that.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, again, a lot of time was spent on like outside of, and I guess it also has to do with the fact of me not knowing like, oh, where do I want this story to go, and like what themes do I want this story to have. I would probably slap my okay. So to make it make it a solid answer, go back into the past, slap myself in the face, and say, sit your ass down and actually come up with a solid theme to the story as well as a solid fucking plot to the story.
Right.
Yeah, I would just say, going off that, like, one of the things we actually constantly harp about on the show is, come on, guys, get a plan. Like,
yeah, that is a thing we notice a lot among fanfiction, and the reason why a lot of stories die in fanfiction is the author starts off with that one idea of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Naruto shot lasers from his eyes at the age of 2, and then they wrote like the first 3 chapters, and then they're like, oh shit, I gotta time skip this because I don't know how the fuck childhood works, because I was an abused child that lived in a fucking cupboard. And
either that, or they spend way too much time on the childhood, and they literally plan out every day, Monday through Friday.
That is the death of every Ruby fic I've seen so far, is where they're like, okay, let's have each chapter be a single day. And it's just like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I did that the first Ruby Cross. I don't want to remember that.
And that is actually fed into the reason why we, by we, I mean mostly me, and then Kilm's like, hey, stop being stupid, whenever I would do things. It's why we skipped over pretty much all of Season 1 in terms of actually, like, writing it day by day. Season 1 for us was around 60k words, would you say?
Yeah, less maybe even.
Yeah, about less. Maybe
like
55.
A lot of set up in Season 2 more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Season 1 was quite short for us.
Even for mine, for as like little as there was to work with, I had to fill in a lot of gaps and fill in a lot of early stuff with. I pretty much skipped over, and especially because I took out John as a character,
right,
and threw him elsewhere. That took out like almost the entire latter half of Season 1. So I was like, all right, well, now I got to figure out what to have them do in the meantime. And so it's probably honestly 5 chapters, 5 to like 7, 8 chapters maybe, that are actually Volume 1, and then everything else is like Volume 2 and on.
Right. And is there any specific parts of Ruby or Naruto you ignore, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Lots. Which is probably why I get a lot of shit from a lot of people. Naruto especially, obviously, I ignore almost everything after the pain arc.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, that's a perfectly fair decision.
That's a good spot to start ignoring, honestly.
Isn't that
I feel
where you
like
crossed over?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I haven't outright said it in the story, and I probably never will, but yeah, that's pretty much where I kind of pluck Naruto from his timeline.
Right.
You have something explained it, like with the whole like Sasuke thing and everything, like it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I personally, for me, even as a fan of just Naruto, and the reason obviously I do fan fiction is because I didn't like the outcome of Naruto and how that whole latter half went down.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Everybody here feels that.
It's how do you go from, hey, here's a story about ninjas and shit, to there's aliens with fucking laser beam eyes and fucking we can create dimensions and shit. Like, I don't, where was the transfer?
Yeah, there was a bit of a.
Clearly, it was right about when they started growing wood out of people.
Sure.
Honestly, my favorite part was explaining.
I do it every morning, and nobody bats an eyelid.
The potential was always there, as weird as that might sound. But during the fourth Ninja War, he was told you've got like 2 or 3 months to wrap this up, and everything went to hyperspeed.
Also, the DNA sword.
But then he got bored.
The DNA sword was the moment where it's like, oh, they told him he's done. They told him he has to finish now or else.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I genuinely thought Kishimoto was going to end Naruto with both Sasuke and Naruto dying.
I would have loved
that.
But it's a shonen.
I know, but it was like the big focus of that one chapter where they're both like laid out on the ground. His soul's been ripped out. His heart's fucking not beating. I was like, holy shit, is Kishimoto gonna pull out some shonen level bullshit of the heroes are dead, so the people that they raised up behind them throughout their adventures banded together and beat the big bad in their name? Like,
no.
Is that,
the answer is no.
The answer was no.
You're expecting Berserk from Naruto. Please don't do that.
Look, man.
If this had been a seinen, he probably would have done that.
Yeah.
But like the ending actually didn't bother me because it was also one of the better fights in the series.
It was, yeah.
But I mean, if nothing else, we finally got to see 8 Gates Might Guy, and then I was robbed of the emotional burden of his death.
I don't know if any of you guys watch on YouTube, but honestly, there's this dude named Swag Kage. I know his name's really, really bad.
No,
Really, really
I know, what's he do? Because I think I've seen that guy around.
He runs a YouTube channel largely based off of Naruto mostly. He does some other stuff with like Dragon Ball Z and some others and other anime and everything, but the chunk of his content is Naruto based. And he has a video out actually. A lot of it, despite his cringy name, is actually really, really poignant. And he has a video out on like where he says this is how you fix the entire war arc. Okay. And he raised a lot of good points and a lot of like, hey, if Kishimoto had done this as opposed to doing this, it would have made things a lot better. And there's a lot in that video. A lot of his videos in general have some really good content and everything like that. But that one in specific, I think it makes the most sense in how their series could have ended the same way it did, but been better done.
I mean, yeah, but like this small thing changing does.
Oh, yeah, that's why that. I get on AMV binges occasionally. That's why this guy's name sounds familiar. He always ends up in the sidebar when I get to the Naruto section of AMVs for some reason.
I mean, his name's Swag Kage, so. That's
probably why.
I feel like
YouTube's like, here, you're looking at shitty AMVs. Here's a shitty name.
Here's some cringy fucking Naruto shit for you fucking weeboo trash.
So,
you know what? I bet that's what's written in YouTube's fucking coding algorithm.
So your summary was pretty concise when it came to Maelstrom Shinobi. In that it kind of gives away the reasons why you started the story, but is there anything else besides that made you sit down and go, you know what? I'm gonna write a Naruto Ruby Cross.
Yeah, because when you did start, like the fandom wasn't all that big, was it? Like,
no,
writing the Pussyfix and
Scythe Master.
Yeah, it was pretty small. I want to say honestly, it was probably within at least 100 stories within the category itself, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at now. But yeah,
a couple thousand.
Oh well. Yeah. So yeah, early days, and I'm sitting here realizing I've been doing this for like 3 years now. So.
It's not as bad as that one guy that did a story for 8 years, and then he was just like, "Holy shit, this is something else to be finishing it."
Yeah. So I don't know. I think again, I wanted to be able to fix Naruto in some way, because again, that was my whole thing. Is like I said before, I didn't like the ending arc, and anything after Pain for me kind of just didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to fix that. And then Ruby was at the time really, really cool for me, and me and my friends were really into it. So it just worked at that point. So it was like, let me kind of just hop on this and have this happen. Let me fix Naruto, and then let me also explore possibilities with Ruby.
So this is a part where we're gonna clash because I am of the personal opinion that when you do a crossover, it's either a full complete fusion or it's going to be 1-2 characters. I do remember bits and parts of your story where you basically were like the Ruby.
How flattering,
actually...
Sneaky. We brought him on the show, and you remember bits and pieces.
Hey, look, mate. Remembering bits and pieces is more than I remember whatever the fuck I did yesterday. So
okay, you know what? Actually, you know what?
him.
You should be flattered, Moth. This is the guy who will forget to drink or sleep. I'm
Or
not joking
eat.
about the sleep thing, by the way.
Yeah,
I'll take it where I can get it.
That's high compliments from Sneaky.
And from what I remember is you basically said the Rubyverse was the future of the Narutoverse. Was that, am I on point there a little bit?
Yeah, no, nail on the head.
And then I do remember I did stop reading your story around the time you were like, hey, all the Akutsuki rings are here and Naruto's collecting them for some reason.
Yeah. It's a plot point for way later.
Mm-hmm. Do you regret trying to mesh the two together? Has it made that much more work for you, or are you satisfied with how it turned out?
I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out, honestly, because I look at it now and there's honestly a lot of parallels and things made easier just because of what the world of Ruby is and everything like that. And it kind of just, I mean, I guess to give away one thing, look at Salem as a character. You look at her and then you look at like Kaguya or something like that. It's kind of hard not to be like, okay, they've got to be related somehow. Like whatever that relation may be, I'm not going to say anything, but there's some link there that you're kind of like, okay, yeah, you can kind of see how it might work.
Right. Okay. And would you tell other people to try it the way you did, or would you give them the advice I give and say just keep it to 1-2 characters?
My biggest thing with crossovers isn't I find it cheap if you bring in like a whole slew of characters or even try and use like the villains of, like, if I had done this crossover and had like Kaguya or Madara pop up at some point, or even Obito or fucking Pain or somebody, it would have been done. I disagree with that. My biggest issue, I think, with crossovers in any form, in any story with any character or whatever, is that you make one small change and it makes bigger changes throughout the entirety of that fanon universe or anything like that. You can't just, because I've seen so many crossovers that have Naruto or the whole entire cast of Naruto or Harry Potter and the whole cast of Harry Potter, whatever, come into like a different series or a different anime, and that anime stays the same. Like a Naruto One Piece crossover where literally nothing changes and it's just, hey, Naruto's here, by the way, and he talks occasionally. Otherwise,
so you're against railroading. You're against the this character that should totally completely change how everyone reacts. Nothing actually changes. You're against that. You'd say don't do that.
Oh yeah, heavily. Yes, heavily.
Now that's kind of branching off. This is there's a lot of debate. Some of the people I talk to with this, I agree with either one side or the other. And the basic way it was put to me when I first learned about it was Harry Potter gets a lightsaber, so therefore Voldemort gets a Death Star. And the idea that because the character of your story gets X power up, either through your own methods or because it's a crossover and they learn about X crossover's power, the villain of that story must also get a power up that way. Do you support that? Do you think the villain should stay at the same power level unless it makes sense for them to also get stronger? Or do you think a new villain should be made?
I mean, I think it depends on how you do it and what your approach is. I don't think there's like a 100% this is going to work every time type of situation. Personally, for me, like the way I went about it was making sure that, and obviously I get a lot, and it is probably the one most talked about quote unquote negative or critique that I get every chapter that I do this
Right.
is power levels and that whole fucking arbitrary thing that people are trying and adhere to.
It is one of the hardest things to do when you cross over a shonen like Naruto or Dragon Ball.
Which is
into
why
anything.
I don't try and put as much focus on it, because it's also a personal taste thing where I don't agree with like the whole death battle thing and everything
You're
like
more
that.
of the
And
One Punch Man route.
not even just that. I think it's more of a character thing where like don't look at them as mathematic equations and try and do this whole thing and science out how much the damage of a Rasengan does or whatever. Like that doesn't make sense in terms of who they are as people and who they are as characters and what their actions would actually be.
Right.
I mean, yeah, sure, you can have fucking Naruto come into the Rubyverse and just Rasen Shuriken everywhere and just everyone dies and blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, sure, technically you can do that and it would sort of make sense, I guess. But that's not interesting. That's not fun. That's not a good, compelling story to read. So yeah, I mean, again, I think it just depends on you. If you want to have it go that way, depending on how you do the crossover. If to take your example, yeah, if Harry Potter fucking finds a lightsaber, then by extension, it wouldn't be too far-fetched for Voldemort to come upon a holocron of like Darth Revan, or for him to find something like that as well. It would make sense for that to happen.
But you wouldn't say that the villain needs to basically scale in proportion to the hero in a crossover scenario?
It depends on how you scale the hero. If you are going to have Harry Potter get the lightsaber and then all of a sudden become the next coming of Yoda, then yeah, probably to make things fair, you should probably also have Voldemort grow with that as well.
Right.
But if you give Harry Potter a lightsaber and you just make him kind of sort of more competent and he isn't a god of Jedi things and is suddenly the foremost expert on every combat style that has ever existed in the Star Wars universe, then I think you can kind of get away with him still struggling and logicking out a good power system for him to still struggle against Voldemort.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I see a lot of stories. That's another, as I'm going to call them from right now on, Dead Point. That's another Dead Point. I've seen a lot of fan fiction stories, especially with the crossovers, in which the author has that. You can see the author have that moment of realization of, oh shit, my main character is too strong. Fuck.
I think the only thing that can be said about that, though, is you still got anime. One of my favorite ones recently, too, is you have Overlord. And you have One Punch Man and things like that, where you have super overpowered main characters. But the story's not based on that. It's not based on them trouncing everything. It's more of a character story and a character study of how they're going to... Overlord is probably a crossover fan fiction, the best crossover fan fiction ever written / directed, whatever. It is a crossover fan fiction in and of itself.
It is a canonical crossover fan fiction. You are correct.
Yes. And it has an overpowered character done well.
No, I will give you that. I do love Overlord. Now, specifically with that, shit, I was gonna say something really witty and clever, and I'm just fucking blanking about it now.
I didn't know you were capable of that.
I wasn't either. I think that's the alcohol talking, because I have been drinking the entire time.
You should have told me. I would have done the same.
I got a bottle of Red Label for like 9 quid cheaper.
At least half of us are drinking here.
Oh, man. I have to go to work in a couple minutes, so...
See, there you go. Yeah. So, if you do have to go to work in a couple minutes, I see you have started a new Naruto High School D times D cross.
It's been sitting there for a minute. I kind of want to go back to it, but yeah, that was started a while ago.
Yeah, it started back in 2015, and you've pretty much only been updating Maelstrom Shinobi since then.
Yeah, it kind of happens when you get into drinking and partying and things like that.
I'll give you that.
Video games.
I'll give you that. Now, is that something you would ever? Is there ever a time you would finish Maelstrom Shinobi and go time to go work on my other stuff, or is your plan to be like, nope, that's it. I've completed my magnum opus. I'm done here.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. As in, I'm ending it with this next chapter, actually. And then yeah, so yeah, RMS is coming to an end with this next chapter.
And you're just like, all right, that's enough fan fiction for me.
No,
You've heard
I despite all the saltiness and people trolling and whatnot and everything, I genuinely enjoy it and it's fun. And when I can do it and when I can sit and write, I actually very much so have fun doing it. So no, to be completely honest, it's RMS is going to end, and then it's going to be quote unquote book 2.
Oh, so you are going to make a sequel to it?
Yes, yeah, to carry on and to really kind of this next chapter is going to go off the deep end as far as canonical divergences go, and then from that point forward, it's pretty much going to be like an entirely original plot.
I see. So because of that, I'm going to have to ask you because of this, because we all know Rooster Teeth is obviously, with the death of Monty, going to milk the shit out of Ruby as long as they can.
Yep.
Are you going to pay any attention to any sort of developments in the newer seasons, or are you just going to be like, oh, that's a cool little bit of information, I'm going to steal that. That's a nice little bit of information, I'm going to steal that, and just more or less ignore it?
I more or less ignore it in the same way I do with the Naruto thing, where it's like it's yeah, sure, it's canon and everything like that, and I may nitpick little things from that, but I'm not gonna completely like have the whole thing. Like, just to be completely honest, Volume 4 is not gonna happen the way it happened in my story, at least. So yeah, no.
I'll give you that. We've already diverged at the end of Season 1. Little spoiler alert, we're having a hospital explode in Season 2.
It's completely his idea, not mine.
Jesus, guys.
Max, we can't say anything. We took the highway collapse.
I know what we took the highway collapsing to be. Your mic is cutting out again, by the way.
Sorry. Look, I'm just saying we took the highway collapse to its logical conclusion.
People dying?
A lot of people dying.
A lot of people dying.
Yeah.
For anyone who's interested in our story, the upcoming chapter, it's long and depressing.
Wait, you wrote a long chapter? Holy shit!
Fuck you!
God.
One of these days, I'm gonna strangle that Indian bastard.
Yeah, of course, I write a chapter longer than 20k words for that.
I mean, I only wrote like 83% of Scorched Earth Shattered Steel.
I mean, you're dead, Max. You're okay. You're okay, man.
So I can't help but notice that one of these things is not like the other. I'm going through your little stories. You wrote a Pokemon story.
Yeah.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
You wrote almost 60k words of a Pokemon story, and then you dropped it.
I unintentionally. I want to go back to it at some point, probably. There's a lot of things I want to do at some point when RMS isn't taking up my every waking moment. I eventually want to write a Harry Potter story. I want to get back to that Pokemon story and do it better and everything. So yeah.
Come back to it with all the knowledge that you have gained in the years since.
Very much so, yeah. Go back and actually do something decent.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Yeah, is there any other questions you guys wanted to ask him?
Yeah, I want to ask him something more about his writing style. When you write, I have for some reason when I'm reading your chapters, the way the flow works, the way the combat works, for some reason I can only think of metal music. Is that you theming it, or is this just like how your head works?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've spent years playing character action games. Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid, Bayonetta, more recently Nier Automata. I've more recently I sunk like 70 hours worth of my life into Nier Automata and to platinum that game. I 100% of that game just to
Wow.
So yeah, no, that's how I tell stories. It's kind of a byproduct of spending that much time on those kind of video games.
So you don't sit down and consciously theme out chapters or music?
No.
Uh,
No,
good
I don't.
Is
influences
there
them.
anything you
That's all.
specifically do more now than you previously did? Like, do you do outlines now? Do you actually sit out and go, what do I want to see in this chapter? Or, like, what's the difference between how you used to write, say, at the start of RMS and how you do it now?
I mean, I guess the biggest difference is, yeah, I try and set out and like, okay, I have an end goal to work towards. So what is this chapter gonna do to work towards that end goal,
Right.
if anything? And then I also kind of spend a little bit more time, word choices, and also even with like fight scenes and even dialogue. With dialogue, especially, I read it out loud to see like, does that sound like something a human person would say?
Yeah, that's something I do see a lot of people have trouble with.
Yeah, so I do that a lot now, and then I also do a lot of, I guess, in my homage to Monty and his excellent, amazing way of choreographing fight scenes. I try and really kind of play it out and like, okay, how is this gonna make sense, and how would a person's obviously anime human body react to in this sense?
Right. Right. That's fair enough. That's alright, fair enough. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming in for this and taking that time before work instead of getting ready or doing important things to sit here and listen to a guy who's getting progressively drunker ask you questions about a fan fiction that you don't get paid for.
Hey man, that's my fetish, dude. It's cool.
Okay, one more thing. Considering you made yourself quite a big like name in this site, and people like what's his name again? The guy who Core, yeah, people like Core. These guys are literally making money heads over heels of fanfic. Why did you try to?
Wait, one more time. Sorry, you kind of like
He's asking
lowered it.
why
He's
you aren't
basically
making
asking
money.
if, do you want to get a Patreon account set up and start earning money from the fan fiction, or are you okay with
Not
it just
from this.
staying as a hobby?
No, not from fanfiction. If I ever do pursue a Patreon page, it's probably going to be for music, or probably even for a legit story that I write of my own.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, technically, that is what Core does because he can't charge for the fan fiction, but
Yeah.
he can charge to write a book. And you know, while he writes this book, he writes fan fiction for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you had to give a statement on other authors doing that, though, are you okay with it? Do you not care that other authors do it? Do you at least think they should be outputting a certain amount of content each month if they're going to do it?
I think that, and this goes to anybody who does Patreon, I feel like if people are paying you for something, and they're going out of their way and donating their monthly, bi-weekly, whatever check, the money that they use to support themselves, you better damn well make those rewards worth it for them. Like, you can't just, I wouldn't open a Patreon and just be like, hey, give me money to write, because, yeah, I would want to make it worthwhile. I would want to give you something out of that Patreon that would make sense for you. And whether that be like, hey, if you donate $5 or whatever, I'll name a character in my original story after you or something like that. If you donate fucking $20 or something like that, cool. You can have like a cameo or something like that, or something that is a little bit more tangible than just, hey, support me and because reasons.
Fair enough. Because
you know who has a Patreon, right?
Wait, one more time.
So you know who's got a Patreon, right? A certain friend of ours.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do this and have a Patreon. Honestly,
person whose reward was he would stream porn games on Twitch.
Oh yes, Fairy Tale Dragon.
People can watch. They'll get a link. A certain male model, Adonis, the man of the arms.
Hey, look, man. As much as I may disagree with it, he's free to do whatever the heck he wants. Whether or not do I think the people who give him money are dumb? Yes, very much so. But that's their choice.
I mean, he gets like $10, I guess.
Hey, those two people that's up to him, or that one person that subs to him, hey, he's dumb, but you know what? That's my opinion.
I mean, look, we can't exactly throw much shade. We've got a grand total of, 2 subs?
Currently we are at 4 subs.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Hey.
But that's just because of my dulcet tones, not because of anything you can
Dulcet tones.
Alright. So I'll let you go, Moth. I appreciate you showing up. You can certainly always pop in again if you want to. I'm never gonna say no to that.
I honestly probably will. This is pretty fun, actually, and I definitely wish I wasn't working today, and I could sit here, pull out a bottle, and kind of just sit here with you guys.
Yeah, no, that would certainly...
I mean,
that'd
listen,
be
if you ever
interesting.
want to, you're welcome to join us on a Tuesday or a Friday. The more drunk people we have, well, I can't say the better the show gets, but the more bearable it gets.
Fair.
That's something
Tuesday,
else.
I might take you up on that.
Alright. Well, if there is one thing you have to leave this whole shebang with to anyone who's looking to improve their writing or looking to just get better at writing characters in general or etc., what is one thing that you want to leave the audience with?
Take every comment with a grain of salt. And in that, I mean, even if it's a terribly written review, and even if it's from a terrible person or anything like that, if there's enough of them, there might be something you might want to look into.
All right. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll get back to our regularly scheduled broadcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I will definitely be popping in next time. You guys have a good one, all right?
All right, you too, man.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, this is great.
Peace.
Okay, well, let me just switch it back over to the regularly scheduled broadcast. Boom!
Look at that,
Production
fuckers. Content.
We produced content!
Yeah. Oh, Kelman's abandoned us to, I guess, go
yeah,
and continue
he's-
breaking his hands.
He's going back to Final Phantasm.
That.
So, awaiting endpoint. Oh no. Oh no. We are currently we are currently experiencing technical difficulties.
What have you done?
I have done nothing. Discord is currently having outages.
Oh
Uh-huh.
no! Oh no! Again? Oh god. Oh no.
Alright, well, it looks like everything's back to normal, so let's get back on to our regularly scheduled broadcast. Alright. So, we just spent like an hour and 30 talking about Naruto and Ruby, so let's go find something that isn't Naruto or Ruby. How do you all feel about that?
What's that? It's time for a Naruto Ruby?
I was thinking more, let's see, Ranma Fate Stay Nightcross. How do you feel about that?
I feel like that's gonna be a shit show. Look, we're gonna do this for like another half hour, and then I'm gonna go watch the 1980s Doctor Strange with my brother. So let's just pile the shit on.
Alright, so actually I decided to instead do Worm because, sweet dear God, this story. So this is actually one I found today. And, well, just take a look at it. Have you witnessed it?
Not yet. Oh god.
Atin, have you entered a comatose state? Oh, and Discord is shitting itself again. Okay, Discord, thank you.
Okay, wow. Do we have to do this one?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hope you're all ready
Oh,
for
sweet
this.
Jesus.
Take your time.
Jesus.
Instead of triggering because of the isolation and betrayal during the locker incident. No, she was not triggering because of the isolation and betrayal. She was triggering because she was stuffed into a locker full of used rotting tampons.
Turns out being shoved into a biohazard is, well,
Hazardous?
Triggering.
Oh, well, that too. Taylor
I said it
Herbert
first.
triggers in a fit of rage. Rage at her bullies humiliating her. Rage at her classmates for laughing. Rage at the teachers for doing nothing. A master ability traded for a thinker ability. How far will the ripples spread? Not very far, I can imagine, because you're probably shit at writing. I apologize for my poor grasp of grammar and any of loss of entertainment it may cost you. At the moment, I do not have a beta and have been using Grammarly as a source. I also apologize for the fact that this, and the next few chapters as well, will be cliche and follow canon closely until it diverges from the canon in an extreme way. I would also like to apologize, as this is the first time I've written an extended action scene. Please review. Now this is coming off of our mothball review. Interview.
Have you sit down?
And this author is committing the cardinal sin of not acting out the action scenes, likely. Because even if it's your first time writing an action scene, if you actually sit there and go, okay, can I actually twist in that direction? Or can I actually bend in that direction? Or can I actually throw my fist like that? You can write a decent action scene. Even if it is your first time. You just actually have to sit there and be like, is this actually possible? Goes the punch.
What was
No,
the fucking...
I actually can't do that.
Oh, what was that stupid fucking one, Sneaky, where the guy had like 7,000 bodily injuries, and we're like, all of these are horribly debilitating.
Oh god. I think that was a Naruto story.
Was it? I remember it was like a super hard AU, so...
I think that was a Naruto story. Is it a Naruto or... No, we're not talking about Ranma, we're talking about Worm. I think it was like... It was either Naruto or Harry Potter. I feel like it was I feel like it was Naruto because it was after a beating by the village mob. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is one I was thinking about, but that wasn't. What was the one where some dude? It was like in like a lab experiment or something.
That was also Naruto.
Yeah, it was like, oh, he has like broken legs and crushed glass in his feet and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a Die Hard.
And then Orochimaru experimented on him.
By experimented, we mean anal probe. What?
While literally running to my death, I took a moment to do what all teenagers do. Worry about what I was wearing.
Alright! Fuck right off, author!
Wow, I don't think I've ever wanted to stab someone in the throat this much before.
You know, if this was literally... Okay, if this is following Taylor, that's very out of character. If this was following Emma, I could see that happening.
But you don't understand, Max. She was literally running from her death.
Oh, running to.
To, not from.
Like, I could see Emma doing this. I could see Sophia doing this, but more like, do I look intimidating enough?
Am I predator enough?
Not Taylor.
It had taken weeks, and most of my blah 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 cliche piecemeal blah 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 cargo pants combat boots. Yes, because every teenager ever in a story gets combat boots. I, as a person who has combat boots due to my occupations I have had, am highly offended by all of these basically self-insert and/or OCs suddenly figuring out that wearing combat boots is an intelligent choice, just in time for the story to start. I am personally offended. This triggers me.
No one cares, Snowflake.
Anyway, blah blah blah. I looked like a punk hipster. Leather jacket. Blah blah blah. 3-part costume. Blah blah. Flak jacket.
Interesting.
I purchased.
Oh, you mean one of those things that's super hard to find?
What? Let's
No.
let's go over what they're
no,
wearing one more
Black
time.
jackets
Okay,
are not hard to
no,
find. What the
no.
fuck are you on about?
In
How
the
many
Northeast,
jackets are they wearing?
They're wearing 2. In
Okay,
the Northeast.
Let me rephrase that. In Chicago, it's hard to find.
She's not in Chicago.
She's in the Northeast.
You're right. She's in Jersey, where it should be even harder because they have even bigger fucking problems.
No. You see, you underestimate what the Northeast is like in general. In the Northeast, in general, if you have the money, there is a way.
This is true.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, how did she get that? It's a lot easier than you think.
In the Northeast, I can't speak for any other part of the country, but in the Northeast, if there is money, there is a way.
Well, I'm pretty sure that, like, here in the South, we have designer flak jackets.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Well, if by designer you mean they have the American flag hand-stitched, then yes, that's technically designer.
Anyway, so she's wearing a leather jacket vest, also a flak jacket, and cargo pants with combat boots. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. It was all super cheap. Blah 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 blah. I wanted to stop a knife from stabbing me. Blah 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 blah. I'm wearing ski goggles and a gas mask.
Author has clearly never worn a gas mask in their life or seen someone wearing a gas mask.
Yeah, you really don't want to use a gas mask for basically anything combat related unless you absolutely have to use a gas mask for something combat related.
I was going to say, why are you wearing a flak jacket in Jersey?
No,
She's
wearing
she's
a
in
gas
a
mask.
mass. She's a masshole.
Like, if you're wearing a gas mask, it better be because you know you're dealing with something that you do not
Like-
want in your lungs.
Like, author, now this is a rhetorical question because I know you're retarded, but have you ever tried, like, running or fighting in a gas mask? The short answer is no, you haven't.
Oh, no, they're wearing a
Makes
ski
sense.
goggles and a gas mask from Home Improvement, so they're probably wearing oh god, I used no term off the top of
Oh,
my head,
they're
but
just
they're wearing
wearing a
half mask.
fucking face mask then.
That's
Yeah,
not a
they're wearing a half mask with filters and ski goggles to cover the eyes. I mean, the ski goggles are still not a great choice, but it's not as bad as a full-faced gas mask.
Okay, yeah, but still, even
I was
a...
gonna say, like, if it's like a gas
That's
mask,
still gonna
you're
make
not gonna
breathing-
wear that literally all the time. It's
But
literally
see,
just like,
that's like an
Well, no, here's the
industrial
thing.
face mask. That's not a gas mask. There is a distinct
No.
difference there. If you try using an industrial face mask to filter gas, you are about to have a lot of problems on your hand.
Oh god. Like, it's definitely the wrong term for it. What it is a full face is like a full face respirator or some shit with filters. Even then, I would not wear that if I knew I was going to be running, because
Yeah, no.
those things are not
Yeah,
conducive
I was
to
gonna
the
say.
breathing you need for running.
Yeah, that's like dust.
I should know.
That's
I've had to
stationary
use
dust
it.
usage. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
oh,
I was gonna say,
shit, what the
I
fuck
had
is
one of
this?
those when I was in the welding department
Yeah.
because I was grinding metal and I had lots of little metal flakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like that thing is not conducive for like high blood pumping activities.
Yeah,
It's just
I did that
bad.
doing carpentry. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah.
Like anyone who can fucking do cardio in those, power to you, mate. But I'm not keen on suffocating while I do my exercise.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so wait, is this the same jacket? Okay, it is the same jacket. So the leather jacket she has also has a hood to it, which
Oh fuck you, you piece of shit.
which hides her hair.
Okay,
Shit.
this person seriously doesn't know what the fuck this person's talking.
I was faster than I should be, not to a parahuman level, but I was sprinting at a thong of ABBB thugs at a speed much faster than 3 months of morning jog should be able to account for. Well, hold on a second. You are... Okay, well, she is female. Okay, I'll give that to you. Hours on Google research. I feel like I lose more IQ from reading this fan fiction than I do from drinking multiple liters of vodka. That's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing, and you're probably exaggerating, but well, there's still room for doubt. You could be completely right.
Yeah, I know. Gave me the vague impression that my powers affected the nerves running through my body to a certain extent, and that affected how fast my muscles contracted, and there were libraries worth of information on how that affected the amount of force a human body could exert.
Uh-huh.
While I was certain anyone well versed in the science of kinesthesiology would cry at the simplicity of my explanation, it made sense to me. Yes, I am crying at the simplicity of your explanation because that's not how that works. There is hard locks placed on the human muscles to prevent the body from literally ripping itself into a pile of mush.
Yeah, our brains make sure to lock that shit down. Like, it's fairly common knowledge if you do a Google search as well.
For someone who spent multiple hours on Google research...
And by multiple hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
I spent 15 minutes on
That's
Google.
probably
I know
all
what
the
I'm
time
talking
the
about.
author spent it. They were like, kinesthesiology. Enter. First link. And that's all they did. And they left it open for several hours.
Yeah, probably.
And yeah, Isley also does raise a good point. That's not a thinker ability. That would be a breaker or changer ability.
Probably.
Anyway. Scientific queries about parahuman biology aside, the boost in speed gave me an edge with the whole dodging bullets thing. Okay, look, no. I will disabuse you of said notion now. Unless you are exceedingly lucky and have trained for probably literally years to get your flexibility to the point of like fucking professional gymnasts. I highly doubt your speed and reaction times will be up to par enough to react to a gun being fired at you in times for you to dodge it. Now, admittedly, guns are wildly inaccurate, especially past the 20-meter mark, which likely is what's going on here. And I will also give it to you...
What do you mean guns are wildly... That's very dependent on the guns.
No, guns in general, my lad.
No.
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 Muskets are wildly inaccurate past 10 meters.
So 20 feet. Trying to hit someone within the 20 feet mark is actually, like, life-threatening. Like...
Okay, I'm pretty sure...
If a person with a knife is rushing at you inside the 20 feet mark, there is actually a massive increase in the chance of you dying. Because human reaction times are a thing. And yes, the bullet
that doesn't make the gun
fast.
inaccurate. That makes the human inaccurate.
Yes, okay, I will give that to you. I was speaking.
I was gonna say
humans are very bad at aiming.
I think your potato juice is starting to get to you again.
No, I was basically right. The gun shoots in a straight line. Humans are bad at doing straight lines.
We are very bad at straight lines. Also, I just realized
we need rulers to let us draw straight.
I think we lost 6 of our audience the moment Mothball left.
I mean, basically, I'm not surprised when people come in here and they see this big fucking clusterfuck of shit fan fiction. They just look at it and go, well, I could just look at my own fan fiction if I wanted to see this. They'll just leave.
That, and I'm pretty sure people only stay for like the first hour.
And when people come in and instead they see the graphic I had up of behind the pen with an author, and he's talking about writing and shit like that, they're more likely to stay. Because they're like, oh, I'm actually learning things here instead of listening to a drunken idiot slur words and give bad advice.
Isn't the whole point of the podcast listening to a drunk idiot give bad advice?
I mean, yes, but they don't know that yet.
Yeah, that's why it was made, at least. Although this was before Sneaky started drinking, wasn't it?
Oh, I started drinking,
Wasn't it last year you actually started drinking?
9 months ago.
Yeah. The drinking thing's actually, okay. Yeah. It actually is fairly new.
Drinkney is a fairly new development. Anyway, so blah blah blah, the author is wrong and bad, and blah blah blah, she was neo-dodging it. Except apparently there was a massive cloud of bear spray growing on people. And...
Oh. What?
Yeah, a glowing cloud of bear spray.
Oh, fuck you.
She apparently had so much bear spray, she created an artificial fog that would render her basically unseeable as she ran at them.
Fucking... She's right up there with the people who are like, I'm going to take my hollow point bullets and fill them with salt.
That's not how
Salt
that works.
the wind!
No, and that is how it works. I've known people. They hand load their hollow points and they load salt in and seal wax over it.
Well, those people are assholes.
They are. And Taylor here is like, oh, I'm just going to bring bear spray to use against humans. You fucking what?
Honestly, I'm a bit more concerned about the amount of bear spray she's using on these humans.
Now, what did she bring in? Like a fucking, like...
Apparently she brought in like 3 gallons because she's made an artificial fog of bear spray. Anyway, so blah blah blah, a Neo dodging of the bullets, blah blah blah. Oh, she's using
No,
the
it's bear
Home
spray, I
Depot
believe.
gas mask to run through the bear spray.
Actually, no, that would work. If she's using like the recommended mask, because the mist is a particulate, not like a
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
So it is a physical particle that would be blocked by the filters. Some of it would slip through, and her throat should be like tingling at least, but most of it should be mitigated by the mask.
Yeah, except for the problem, I would be with you on that if it wasn't for the fact that she used enough bear spray to make an artificial fog.
Like I said, her throat should be tingling. At the very least.
Yeah, I
And
just...
even if not, like, here's the problem.
That filter's
filter-
going to be quickly compromised.
No, not even compromised. That filter's just blocked up. Like, that filter is just now completely stopped up if you made a legit cloud that they are having trouble seeing through. Like, if this is a thick enough cloud that it is actually hindering visibility outside of being bear spray in the eyes, that filter is now useless and you are literally breathing in carbon dioxide
Yeah.
that you're producing.
So have fun with that.
Anyway, so everyone's choking on the bear spray. Thankfully, my mask offered me some protection. While every breath I took burned a little bit, I was still standing and everyone else was choking and throwing up.
At least they got that right.
A little bit exaggerated on the effectiveness of the mask, but sure, let's keep going. As the bear spray swirled around me like a thick mist, I pulled myself back from the 10 to 4 times faster than baseline. While I had been useful in my dead spot, she's capable of moving 10 times faster than her normal speed because her nerves just work better. No, there's a lag time between the transmission of all the chemicals that cause the muscles to contract and expand. And even on top of that, you gotta be using a massive amount of nutrients every single fucking time you use that. 10 times expenditure?
Then there needs to be a mention of a higher calorie diet than normal. To even begin to mitigate this.
I mean, like, fucking Christ, if she's not taking potassium supplements at this point, she's gotta be seasoned up. Speaking of which, take your potassium supplements, kids, unless you want to start seasoning up. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. You can, in fact, go past your baseline. The human body is built for that. It's just, it's extraordinarily energy abusive.
And painful. Depending on
Also,
what you're doing.
Still not a thinker ability. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like... I could see a thinker rating if her perception has been fucked with. But this does sound like a changer or breaker thing.
I mean, not even that, really. It'd be more like a thinker one, brute one sort of scenario.
Well, except that it sounds like she's able to control it to a stupid degree.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but the...
So, like, at the very least, I would assume there's, is it Changer that's able to fuck with, like, certain parts?
I think that's it. I don't know anymore.
Okay, well, let's keep this shit train going because we only got a little bit longer to go. So just hold on. We can do it.
We're almost done. Thank Christ.
Anyway, so blah 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 blah. Lung tried to transform and then he exploded.
That's not normal.
Blah blah blah. The bear spray caught on fire. Blah blah blah. A fire pillar erupted from Lung as he screamed angrily. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah. Lung was knocked out by the bear spray. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. And then he suddenly woke up. And blah blah blah, the ABB
I'm pretty
ran
sure
away.
that Lung would be far too angry about someone using bear spray on him for it to actually work on him.
Yeah, the way his chemistry works, actually, that stuff should have just been burned out of his system immediately. Like, at best, a stumble.
Okay. Anyway, so blah blah blah, Lungs crying on the ground, blah blah blah, friendly fire, possibly. I didn't mean to fight Lung, but now I'm fighting Lung. One of the upgrades of my greatest power is the greatest drawback to it. It gave me plenty of time to think about intense situations, but no solutions. Okay.
Sounds like a personal issue.
Yeah.
Gonna have to
Lung
ask you
didn't
to
react to
fix
me
it yourself.
sprinting at him. He only crouched into a predatory leap. Okay. Blah blah blah. He regrew his arm. When the fuck did he lose an arm? Oh, the explosions.
Yes, of course.
It wasn't a fiery explosive though, and it wouldn't cause Lung much pain. Okay. Apparently the Three Stooges are being brought up now because that's what her combat style is based off of.
You base your combat style off of slapstick comedy.
I see no problems here.
I am so fucking done with them.
Why is it always slapstick comedy? Why don't we ever get, like, normal comedy? I don't know, like Seinfeld.
Because slapstick comedy is the highest form of comedy, don't you know?
Yes, totally. Yes, I understand now. It's also probably anything anyone can ever write, apparently.
Okay, let's keep going. Much as I regretted it.
Don't worry, Sneaky. Only 12 more minutes, then the stream is done.
Okay,
You're almost there, buddy.
So blah 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 blah. You'll pay for that, boy. I was insulted. Lung thought I was a boy. I'm clearly a girl. I just don't have the boobs of a girl. Blah blah blah. I kicked Lung in the balls. Blah blah blah. He twitched and collapsed. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm sure no one's ever tried that on him before. Blah 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 blah. Puff Puff the Magic Dragon, I'm over here. Hey, don't you be insulting Puff the Magic Dragon. He's an excellent
No,
character.
Puff the Magic Dragon deserves your insults.
No, Puff the Magic Dragon is a great character and deserves your praise. I was insulted that my opened didn't realize I was girl.
What?
Yeah.
That's not how English works.
That's how that line worked, though.
True. Doesn't stop me from being angry, though.
So, anyway, blah blah blah. Oh, thank God, I've already blinded him with the bear spray earlier. Otherwise, he would have killed me. Okay. Blah blah blah. Then Long was dazed after I punched him in the face again. And Monica also was dazed. And Avalon, we're in Avalon. We have reached peak. I don't even know at this point. Also, the chapter ends with this Taylor beating Lung and her saying, I'm gonna go beat up the rest of the ABB alone now, after she flickers away in a flash step.
Oh, good. We got that far, did we?
Yes.
I was wondering when you'd get there.
So, yeah, that's that story. So, I'm kind of done for now. We're at the 50-minute mark. We had an interview today. I'm excessively drunk, and I really don't want to put up with any more shit. So I think I've given you guys enough quality content for today. So I will see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, technically speaking. Just look for the New York on the time scale. It makes it easier for you. Is there anything else I need to say? Not quite. No, that's pretty much everything. So,